Hello students, video lecture 105. In this video lecture we will discuss three more important articles based on history chapter 3, making of global world. The first article is indentured labor migration from India. Second is Indian entrepreneurs abroad and British trade with India. So these three articles we'll discuss. So indentured labor migration from India. During 19th century, global agricultural economy had taken shape. Technology improved, food started moving from one place to another. More farmlands were created in far off places to supply food to Europe. So for producing food, growing crops, more people were needed. Basically labor was needed. So this labor was managed basically on contract basis and it was called indentured labor. So from India, this indentured labor was migrated, managed on contract basis on various contract aspects that we'll discuss. So the first thing about indentured labor migration was the example of indentured migration from India also illustrates two-sided nature of 19th century world. Two-sided nature means on one side it was the employment, on the other hand it forced the workers as slaves, bonded labor. So in 19th century, hundreds of thousands Indian and Chinese laborers migrated for plantation, mines, roads, rail construction projects, shipbuilding, etc. Indian indentured labor were hired under contracts which promised return travel to India after they had worked for 5 years on their job place. Means it was a contract based labor for 5 years. Most Indian indentured workers came from present day areas of eastern UP, Bihar, central India and dry districts of Tamil Nadu. These areas had seen many economic changes during 19th century. Poverty was the main issue and people were suffering and became deeply indebted, कर्जे में डूब गए, and were forced to work as indentured labor. Another thing was the main destinations of Indian indentured laborers were Caribbean islands, that is Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname. Mauritius and Fiji were the nearest destinations. Tamil migrants went to Malaya, Ceylon, the present day Sri Lanka. They were recruited for tea plantation. In 19th century, indentured has described as a new system of slavery that we discussed in the first line, two-sided nature of indentured labor. On arrival at plantation, laborers found conditions to be different what they had imagined or what they were informed by the contractors. Living and working conditions were harsh and there were few legal rights. Workers discovered their own ways of survival. That was the most difficult task. Many of them fled, ran away to the nearby forest, though they were caught and severely punished or made slaves. Others developed new forms of individual and collective self-expression, blended different cultural forms, new and old, like chutney music. Music is one of the most important thing for survival and for entertainment. So chutney music was popular in Trinidad and Guyana. It was blended, it was formed by the Jamaican reggae star Bob Marley. Chutney music is very important art for 1 mark. And last thing about indentured labor, some of you may have followed the exploits of West Indies cricketers like Shiv Narayan Chandrapal, Ram Naresh Sarwan. These names sounds to be Indian because their forefathers during 19th century were taken as indentured labor, and later on when decolonization process started, they settled over there, and these are the descendants of those indentured labor. Although the indentured labor migration and slavery was abolished in 1921. So this was all about the indentured labor. Next is Indian entrepreneurs abroad. Entrepreneurs means the big businessman, the big traders who used to trade over continents like Shikaripuri Shroff, Nattu Kotai Chetiyars were amongst many groups of banks and traders who financed export agriculture in Central and Southeast Asia. They used their own funds to borrow from Europe, or they borrowed from European banks and extended as agricultural loans. Indian traders and money lenders also followed European colonizers into Africa. Hyderabadi Sindhi traders, however, given their loans beyond European colonies. And last, from 1860s, they established their shopping centers at busy port worldwide, selling local and imported articles to tourists. All they established their showrooms, that is emporiums, at the mainly that is sea trading centers or the seaports. The third article is British trade with India. In those days during 19th century, how did British traded with India? Historically, the fine cotton produced in India was exported to Europe. With industrialization, British cotton manufacture began to expand, and industrialists pressurized the government to restrict cotton imports and protect local industries. Taxes were imposed on cloth import into Britain, thereby inflow of fine Indian cotton began to decline. Second thing, from early 19th century, British manufacturers also began to look overseas markets for their cloth. Excluded from British markets by tariff barrier, Indian textile now faced off stiff competition, hard competition in the international market from the Manchester made cloth. Around 1800 to 1815, the export of cotton textile declined from 30% to 15%, and by 1870 it dropped to 3%. From 1812 to 1871, the cotton export increased from 5% to 35%. Indigo used for coloring the cloth was another important export for many years. Other than this, British grew opium in India, afim in India, and exported to China, and with that money they earned through this was used for buying tea and other products from China. The value of British export from India was higher than the import. This made a surplus trade in India. It means Britishers had surplus trade because their value of export was more than the value of import, and British used this surplus trade to balance its trade deficit with other countries. I mean, in some other countries they had some deficit trade, that is the value of import was less than the value of export, value of import was more than the value of export, that is deficit trade, so they balanced it. India played an important role in 19th century economy. Britain's trade surplus in India also helped pay off home charges that included private remittances home by British officials and traders. Home charges means the payment of salary and even pensions of the British officials who were working in India and retired while working in India. So their expenditures and on all expenditures on British Company offices were met through this trade. Interest payment on India's external debt and pension of British officials in India. These were called the home charges. So this is what is the trade of Britishers with India. So thank you very much. Keep on listening, watching and reading.